Each one of us is born with very simple psychological needs inside. The need to be accepted, to be loved, to be cared for, to be respected, to be seen, to be felt, to be valued, and so on. The primary role of the mother and father in parenting is to meet these needs sufficiently so that psychological growth occurs properly and healthy mental well-being is achieved. However, in reality, this is not always what happens. The child usually discovers during parenting that in order for their basic needs to be met, there has to be a trade-off. For example, listen to what I say to be loved. Drink milk to be a good child. Don't say no to be loved, along with many messages that are conveyed through actions and behaviors. Therefore, love turns into conditional love, acceptance into conditional acceptance, respect into conditional respect, and so on. Everything is conditional. Everything requires something in return. So what the poor child do to be loved, accepted, and cared for? It does something very difficult. It is forced to accept the trade-off. It is forced not to be itself. It is forced to become what they want because simply it needs to. At a certain age, which research suggests is around 5 years old, the child decides to undergo a cosmetic surgery on themselves. Yes, cosmetic surgery, so they can fit into their surroundings. In other words, they modify themselves to meet the expectations of others who is around them. If they want a size 35, they become size 35. And if they want a size 39, they become size 39. So they can receive some love, a little attention, and perhaps a bit of respect and recognition for their humanity and their needs. At this age, the child decides not to be the person they were born as, but to become the person others want them to be. They want them to listen, so they listen. They want them not to say no and not to bother them, so they stop saying no and become quote-unquote well-behaved. They want them not to be spontaneous and to turn into a silent, deaf machine, so they do. After a while, their parents want them to memorize lessons and get top grades at the expense of their happiness, playtime, and creativity. And by time, the children decide to bury their true, pure self to protect and preserve in a deep hidden place inside their souls. They live with a fake artificial self that knows how to deal with those around them, while their true self remains alive, yet hidden inside. It's waiting to be reassured, entertained, and feel warmth so it can emerge and live again. Let's pause for a moment together. Who hasn't had this done to them? Who hasn't done this to their children? If you look carefully, you will find that likely each of us has buried at least part of our true self at some point in our lives, for one reason or another. Some buried their spontaneity, some buried their sense of freedom, others buried their childhood and its joy and vitality. Some buried their loud voice and ability to say no. Others buried some of their potentials and talents. Some women had to bury their femininity, and some men had to bury their masculinity. We end up living our whole lives with fake self floating on the surface, while our true self is buried deep down at the bottom. You know that child who walks with their head down, speaking softly, the one they call well-behaved, who listens to instructions and never say no? Do you know what they may have buried? They may have buried their real childhood, spontaneity, freedom, and the ability to resist and stand up for their rights. In place of that, they have become a submissive, passive being of no color, taste, or smell. Do you know the student who knows nothing but studying? Their only goal in life is to get perfect grades and to be the top student in the world. The one who never plays, never jokes, doesn't go out with anyone, never joins a trip, never travels. This person may have buried their creativity and vitality, and in their place is someone fearful and them, with the only alive part of them being their memory. Do you know the girl who shines like a fake gold, the one who exaggerates displaying her beauty and the potential of her femininity, with a smile here, a look there, a step forward, and a wink somewhere else, the one who plays with someone every day and enters a new love story each night? This girl has likely buried her true femininity, full of tenderness, warmth, giving, closeness, shyness, and forgiveness. In its place, a fake femininity filled with flash flashy colors, selfishness, manipulation, and the deep desire to take revenge on all men. Do you know the man who looks tough, who only knows how to shout and intimidate? The one who shows off his muscles to the weak, the one who bullies the helpless and lashes out at everyone around him? He has likely buried his true masculinity and replaced it with a fake version, full of arrogance, cruelty, and the expression of force. Now, think of the person who buried their emotions and turned into an unfeeling machine, or the one who buried their thinking ability and despite having a high IQ doesn't actually understand anything, or the one who buried their creativity, and the list goes on. Each person burying an essential part of their true self. But do you know what the biggest problem with all of this is? Even bigger than the burial itself? The problem is that some societies, and of course some homes and families, actually encourage their children to bury these valuable, crucial parts of themselves so they can survive and function in these societies or families. Not only that, these communities clap and reward those who bury their true selves. Can you imagine? Our so-called great homes, through their noble upbringing, encourage the quiet, peaceful child who doesn't cause trouble, the one who listens to instructions without saying no, the one who drinks milk just to make their parents happy. Our television shows, cinemas, and music videos glorify fake femininity in every detail, a multi-layered trap, wrapping our identities in layers of falsehood, denial, and suffering. Murder has many forms, and one of them is a phenomenon of humans killing humans, which happens every day. Any real person could be exposed to death through harsh upbringing. Every spontaneous vitality of childhood with real potential could be exposed to death through its rejection in early years. Every real femininity could be killed in 1,000 different ways, and every real masculinity could be killed in various forms. Every precious part of yourself could be killed at home, in a street, at school, or in society. Now take a deep breath and listen closely to what comes next. Do you know what could make the true self, which was buried, feel reassured, feel joy, and decide to come back to life again? What would make me a real whole person, living with my true self completely, without distortion, reduction, or degradation? What can help my instinct flourish, bloom, and shine once more? I will tell you. What can do all that is a relationship. A true human relationship that conveys messages opposite to the distorted messages received during upbringing, education, or any past harmful experience. Isn't it the same thing that can ruin a relationship? Then it's the same thing that can heal it. A relationship where you receive unconditional love that is consistent, deep, permanent, and not affected by your changing situations or circumstances. Love of attitude, not a love of a state. Love of position, not a love of condition. A relationship where you can feel accepted as you are, with all your weaknesses at times, your failures sometimes, even if some of your actions or behaviors are not approved. A relationship where the person in front of you cares about you for your sake, not for their own. For you, not for them. And they see you, not themselves or anyone else in you. A relationship where you feel that you exist, you're valued, your existence matters, and you deserve it. A relationship where you don't have to pay any price to please anyone. A relationship where you can be yourself. Just yourself. This relationship could be a friendship, a marriage, or a professional therapeutic relationship within the framework of psychological treatment. Is this relationship in your life or not yet? Well, search for it and hold on to it quickly for the rest of your life, because it's the way, the solution, and it's the answer. I believe the picture is clearer now and the message has been delivered, right? Tell me all of your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you all in the next video.